Wholesale Farm channel. I almost forgot, one other step that you want to do before you do your final fit on your handle is if you want to clean off any of this rust or patina off this axe head, now's the time to do it. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And what I'm going to be using is a 4.5-inch angle grinder, Makita. I love Makita. And it just has a 100 grit flap disc. And I'm going to go ahead and just start removing this. I am in an enclosed environment, so I am going to be wearing respiratory protection, hearing protection, and eye protection. Just want to be as safe as possible. Alright, so I have this axe all cleaned up to about the point where I like it. And one of the cool things about polishing up axes like this is you never know what you're going to find on them. This one I already knew. On the front here it said Collins Legitimus. It has kind of a cool logo on there. I didn't know on the back though that it also has PIP, I believe that's PIPC stamped in there. PIPC. I thought that was pretty cool. I'll have to look that up and see what that stands for. And also on the top here, there's actually 3.5. So this is actually a 3.5 pound axe. And you can spend as much time as you like polishing these up. You know, it's all up to you. Again, I like to use a flap disc with like 100 grit sandpaper. It has like enough grit to take all this grime off, but it doesn't have too much grit as to where it's really marring up the surface. So there's other ways to go about it. This is just the way I do it. And now after I finish polishing this up, this head is actually pretty warm right now. So what I'm going to do is put it on here rather quickly, because as you guys know, when molecules are hot, they expand. And what that means is if I fit this on here now while it's hot, the molecules are kind of expanded, and as this cools down, it's going to grip tighter on this handle. So there's some signs for you. Take my hammer. Check my fit. It's looking pretty damn nice. Sure I pounded in there pretty good. Here comes the rain. It's another way to fit it on there if you so choose. I'm liking that. Looks real nice. Alright, and here we've come to the most crucial step in this process. This is the make it or break it. If you screw this step up, then there's a good chance that everything you've done has gone to waste. So what I've done since you've seen this last is I've cut off the excess off the top here, and I did that via a jigsaw, and I left, there's probably in between 1/4 and 1/8 of an inch there, and I've never left an overhang on the top of the axe head before, but I wanted to try that, see if it mushrooms out on the top and helps hold this head in here a little bit better. So other than that, I filed that down. I took my razor knife and I cut off any burrs from filing. Additionally, I took the blade of the razor knife and swooped in this curve here to make sure there was no debris in there, which there wasn't. And also what I did is I got my wedge. I buy these wedges on eBay. I think that's the best place to purchase them. They're very inexpensive, and you know you're going to get quality. I tried making my own a couple times, but it's really challenging to make these if you don't have the proper tools. So yeah, I cut this to size and this fits in here perfectly. So what I need to do next is I need to apply some glue. This is one of the steps that I was talking about earlier where everybody has a different opinion on what to do here. Some people will say, well, glue doesn't really make a difference because the amount of shock load you're going to have in here isn't really going to matter. But in my opinion, I like to put glue in here. I like to put glue in between the gap here. And I also like to put a bit of glue on my wedge here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Glue that I'm going to be using, I've used wood glue in the past, but I didn't feel like running out to the store today. So today I'm just going to be using liquid nails, which I've never had a problem with this stuff before. Seems to be good. Alright, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go down the edge here. Try and fill some of this in the gap here. A lot of this will come back out when we're driving that wedge. In my opinion, I think it helps the tool hold up longer. It's just my opinion. Everybody's going to have a different opinion. Some down that crack there. Yes, I could do this on a workbench, just trying to get everything in the view of the camera here. It's all for you guys. I'm going to take my finger and use whatever you want. I'm going to spread out this glue evenly. Definitely don't want to rush this step. Make sure you have everything exactly where it needs to be. Nice uniform coat. Alright, great. Now I'm going to insert this in here, ensuring that it's lined up properly. And now, this is where it comes in handy to have a non-marred, very flat surface wooden mallet. In the past, when I first started driving these wedges in here, I used to use a metal hammer, but these wedges always used to split, and you really want to try and avoid that as much as possible. So wooden mallet with a flat head, in my opinion, is the best way to go about this. Nice and easy. I like to go little taps. Don't drive this thing in here. Switch sides. You really do not want to split this wedge. Said that once, I'll say it again. Alright, and I'm going to leave it at that. I'm starting to get some very micro tears in this wedge. The camera will focus. So there's a very small split line right there and right there. So I'm going to leave that at that. I'm very confident in how well this drove in here. I don't think I'm going to have any problems. So now the final thing I like to do is I take my finger and I just dress up this edge of glue. I'm sure a lot of people are going to have something to say about the way I do this with the glue around the gaps, but in my opinion I think it helps deaden some of the vibrations actually. it's just like laying down a bead of silicone in the shower. So I'm very happy with that. That's how that came out. I can dress that up just a little bit more, but that should be fine. And now the next thing I have to do is just let this sit. I'll let it dry for 72 hours, or excuse me, 24 hours, but I'm still waiting on these round wedges to come in the mail, so we're going to have to wait for those to come in before we can actually go any further. Alright, so the next portion of finishing up this axe I didn't get on tape. I actually made this sheath. If you're interested in learning how to make these, they're very simple. I'll include a link in the description below where you can click on this video. But anyway, after I let the glue dry for about a day, all I did was I cut off the excess portion of that wedge right there. And then I took my rasp and then I just smoothed this over. I left, there's probably like 1/8 of an inch of this handle sticking at the top. And again, I'm trying to make the handle mushroom on the top, and hopefully this will keep its composure over a longer course of time. And also, just so you see what the glue looks like in the head there, it's actually liquid nails. I kind of like that. I like that it fills in all the gap. I really do feel like it helps take out some of the shock of what this axe has to go through. But that's just my opinion. Everybody has their own. Now, one of the finishing steps of this is you need to determine whether you want to drive some of these in there, which these kind of help spread out the wood on the top and help mushroom it further. After doing a lot of research online and listening to a lot of opinions, I think I'm going to hold off on the axes that I recently hung for now. I did purchase some of these round ones on eBay too, which I'll just keep a very close eye on this wedge. If it ever starts to pop out, I could always drive it back in there a little bit further, and then I could just drive another one of these, or I could drive 1 or 2 of these shims in there, and that should tighten that head back up. So that's kind of what I gathered, and I'm going to stick to that for now. I don't know if it was included earlier in the video too, but I did throw some red and white on the handle, which I really enjoy. I love the colors. If you're curious about the name of this, that's actually in Swedish, so if you're curious, I'll let you do the research and you can look that up on your own. And now, last but not least, other than needing to put an edge on the head of this axe, which that's not a big deal, that's very simple. All you need to do is take a grinding stone, or well, it actually depends. If this is really dull up here, the edge of your axe, what I personally do, if it's really dull, I'll take a flap disc on a 4.5-inch angle grinder, and I'll just start to bring this down kind of where it needs to be. And then the final step is to, then you could go to a file, and then after you use your file, if you want that perfect pristine edge, then you use a grinding stone. I have a coarse side and then there's a fine side, so I always start with the coarse side. And this isn't really the proper motion that I'd be in to sharpen this. I'm just kind of giving you guys an idea on what to do. I like to go in little circles and repeat the same thing on the other side. And you can tell where you're cutting by looking at where things start to get shiny. Let me see if I can get a better angle for you here. Switching over to the fine side. And you could get this as sharp as you like. Alright, so the last thing we need to do here is just apply some boiled linseed oil to the handle. Again, before you apply this, you want to make sure that you have sanded down your handle. Helps bring out the color in the wood. Gives it a little bit of nutrient back into it. Additionally, when you're actually using this, it'll help prevent blisters. So I give kind of a light coat throughout the handle. And then when it comes to the head, where we drew over a wedge, I like to go kind of heavy up there. All around there. That looks really nice. And that pretty much concludes this video on how to hang an axe. Be on the lookout for a future video where I go over all my other axes and woodworking tools over there. And yeah, thanks for watching. If you liked this video, appreciate a thumbs up. Subscribe for more. Never know what we're going to come out with in the future. Additionally, if you have any video suggestions for the future, feel free to leave them in the comments section below. And again, thanks for watching.